Hey everyone, Bradley Stalder here, player profiler. Today, we're going to be doing some tailgating. I forgot my beer, guys. I forgot my beer. Life has been a little busy, but we're here tonight. It's not too busy to give you guys some insight into week number 3's Thursday night tailgate between the New York Giants and San Francisco 49ers. That game starts at 8:15 Eastern time. Billy Muzio he's been preparing for this for some time. Primetime game for the 49ers at home of all games. So this is a major game for Billy. So shout out to Billy Muzio, Director of Operations and Player Profiler, of course. So tonight, what I'm going to do, just like we've done the previous couple nights, is go through a few takeaways or projections that we are going to have for this game. Right now, the line for the spread is San Francisco 10.5. The over-under has actually dropped from 44.5 now down to 43.5. So this is something that we're monitoring. It's obviously a home game. Brandon Aiyuk is out. Saquon Barkley is out. I expect this to be a messy, low-scoring game. It's going to be even messier as we talk about things going forward. All right, all that and more right after this. All right, we are here. We're going to talk some of your start sits that we got to make decisions on here in the next half hour. It's a big deal, right? we have some fantasy relevant players, and we have some fantasy relevant players that are out. Obviously, Brandon Aiyuk and Saquon Barkley out. You need to move them from your lineups, of course. They're players that Brandon Aiyuk, top 2 in the NFL among all wide receivers in terms of PFF receiving grade. Remember, he was a top wide receiver in week 1, 2 touchdown performance, caught all 8 of his passes for over 100 yards. So he was a player that you were just auto starting. And last year, we saw Brandon Aiyuk have a streak where he was consistently a top 15 weekly wide receiver, but he is out for this game. How are we going to navigate this? You're just going to start Deebo Samuel with more confidence. You're going to start George Kittle with more confidence. I have Kittle ranked over Waller for this game, even though you're probably starting Waller this week. Waller I have as my tight end 5 on the week, whereas Kittle I have in my top 4. So this is a very exciting time. Kittle averages at least 7 targets per game in contests where either Deebo Samuel or Brandon Aiyuk miss. So we want George Kittle to be in our starting lineups. Let's not get cute. It's George Kittle. It's Deebo Samuel in your starting lineups. Okay. One of the comments, Shane Donahue, shout out to you, Shane. Pick one, Waller, Kittle, McLaurin. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think we can have a high level of trust with Terry McLaurin right now. But Waller and Kittle, as I mentioned earlier, I have Kittle ahead of Waller, and this is going to be a smash matchup. I think that Kittle is going to get a lot of work, so we want Kittle, even though Waller is also going to probably lead his team in targets, and Darren Waller leads all tight ends in terms of tight end receiving yards this season. So we want to be, we want to be starting Waller and Kittle in our tight end spots, of course. But if you're picking a flex, like you don't have a tight end spot, you just have flex spots, and you had to pick between these, probably the spike week potential exists with George Kittle. Cool. And of course, if you like the content you find tonight's live stream helpful, make sure you guys are subscribing to Player Profile, bringing great content for you every day. And I'm doing this tailgate every single Thursday. Popping in, saying hi. For those unfamiliar, my name is Bradley. You can follow me on Twitter at FFStalder. Make sure you guys are following Player Profiler on, I guess they call it the X now, on Twitter. All right. So, yeah, this is a big game. We've seen some shifts here. Brandon Aiyuk ruled out due to the shoulder injury. Okay, due to the shoulder injury. And this made sense, though. I was telling people throughout the week that you should not be banking on Brandon Aiyuk being available for you. because of the shoulder injury, because it was a short week. There's 10 days off till the next day, until the next game for the 49ers. It's a home game where they're favored significantly. And it's not like Brandon Aiyuk is the only guy in the offense that can produce. It's not like they're going to lean on him. It's early in the season. It's okay for Brandon Aiyuk to get some rest, get his shoulder healed up so he can be ready for the rest of the season. No point in re-aggravating in week 3, right? We know that all these teams are competitors. All these players are competitors. The teams want to play their best players, but this is just a savvy move. It's a smart move, keeping Brandon Aiyuk out for this week and reevaluating him, probably sometime next week. Go Jen, shout out to you. Hey, Bradley, pick one. Gainwell, Chuba Hubbard, Mims Jr., or Samaje Perine. Oh, this is gross. This is gross. It's even more gross because it's not a Thursday night question. I try to limit my questions to whether their start sits for Thursday night, but there's only a couple in the chat. So if you got questions about your start sits for Thursday night, we can talk about some of the players. We can talk about Purdy. We can talk about the return of Wan'Dale Robinson expected tonight. Wan'Dale Robinson coming back from the ACL tear. But because, I'm a generous guy, go Jen, we'll answer your question. Gainwell, Chuba, Mims, or Samaje. Each of these players have risks or like asterisks about their name. Gainwell, the concern is DeAndre Swift just crushed. He just absolutely smashed. So is Gainwell going to be able to have a significant role? That's his major question. Chuba Hubbard, on the other hand, has played very efficiently. We've seen some spike weeks, but he's still playing behind Miles Sanders. Mims is not playing enough for us to be comfortable starting him, except for in desperation flex spots. And Samaje Perine is clearly the number 2, just to change a pace back. And Samaje Perine is just a guy, right? There's nothing special about his profile. He's not a special pass catcher. He's not a special juke rate running back. So if I'm picking any of them, I'm picking the running back who we saw handle 14 carries 2 weeks ago on one of the best offenses in the NFL, and that's Kenneth Gainwell. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. Shane Donahue, different league, pick one at tight end. Hill, Ferguson, or Njoku. Yeah, Taysom Hill's dealing with an injury. Not sure about that. Jake Ferguson had a touchdown, but really nothing else in week 2, and he had the most expected fantasy points in week 1 among tight ends. Just not a player we can trust either. Give me David Njoku as your trusty back end wide or tight end 1. Gogo Jin said, I considered picking up Eric Gray or Isaiah Hodgins over those guys instead, like Gainwell, Chuba, Mims, Samaje. No, I don't think you would do that. Hodgins has not played particularly well, and there's no reason for us to trot him out there in our fantasy lineup. So don't be looking for Hodgins to be your savior right now. He has a lot of competition among the pass catchers with Paris Campbell, the ascension of Jalen Hyatt, right? You've got Darren Waller operating a lot out of the slot. Darius Slayton is the number 1 wide receiver in terms of routes run, leads the team in targets, or tied in targets with 10 among wide receivers. So I think Darius Slayton is like the Giants wide receiver you want. I do have Jalen Hyatt ranked a lot higher versus ECR. My reasoning is that if he hits, it's going to be a major hit. If he doesn't hit, well, there's no harm, no foul in that. So I'd rather give me, a spike week of Jalen Hyatt over Isaiah Hodgins. And Eric Gray, I do have ranked high enough that it's interesting, but we don't know how this New York backfield is going to shake out. It very well may be Breida. I'm lower versus consensus on Matt Breida. I think that the Giants are going to struggle on offense, and they may just want to see what they have in either Eric Gray or Gary Brightwell too, because Breida is 28 and a half years old, right? And he's been around the block. I'm just Yeah, he's been around the block. He's more of a pass catching running back. But even when we talk about ceiling, like Matt Breida's ceiling is probably 12 points, probably 60 yards and a touchdown. Okay, so I'm not looking to be starting Matt Breida if I have him. Although you could argue, oh, revenge game narrative, Matt Breida. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't argue that. Shane's asking, San Francisco blowout or a close game? Yeah, it's projected to be a blowout right now. The over/under for this game is 43.5. The implied point totals for each of the teams is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 28 to 18. Okay, or even less than that. Yeah, so like 26 to 16. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. 26 16, 27 17. Yeah, it's going to be a touchdown field goal, pretty close. And it's the home game for San Francisco. I would take the under on 10 and a half differential, but probably also the under on 43 and a half, which is why I'm a little lower versus consensus on Brock Purdy. I think he's more of a mid quarterback too. And looking at, running the projections again earlier, I said, in one of my videos that Brock Purdy would be like a high end wide receiver to or quarterback too. I think that with the loss of wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk for this game, that will hurt his ability to get into that top 10 for weekly quarterback scoring, especially because, I mean, the Giants are going to try to throw it, but it's going to be difficult for the Giants to be able to keep up with the 49ers offense, given how difficult the 49ers defense is. Okay. Who is the picture behind your baseball glove above the Lazard jersey in the background? His name is Drew Valinsky. Yeah, he's one of my teachers. Long story, but shout out Drew Valinsky. Agree that New York Giants backfield is in a void. Like, your desperation starting Matt Breida. You are not looking like Matt Breida is not a must start. He is not a consideration. He is a desperation play for tonight. Could he fall into the end zone and get you the 10 points that you need? Sure. Fine. Okay. Like, that is best case scenario. That is like in the range of outcomes. Matt Breida gets 10, 12 points. If he gets 20 points, I'll eat a sock. Like, but I don't think that Matt Breida has 20 points left in his system. If we look back at Matt Breida's game log, right? If we look back at his game logs, I mean, this year, obviously, he hasn't gotten into top 20. Last year, he wasn't top 20. The year before, not top 20. Oh, he had one. I take that back. He had one top 20 game. He had 13.5 fantasy points. He had two, 18 and 13.5. But those were very touchdown driven, minimal snaps, lots of total yards, 50, 60, 55 or so. And I think that that's ceiling outcome for Matt Breida. Probably 12 or 13 points is the absolute ceiling for Breida this week. And the offensive line for the Giants is hurting as well. Andrew Thomas is out, if you missed that. So another reason for us to be hesitant about starting any of the running backs for the New York Giants, because it might just be Gary Brightwell they move to in the second quarter. It might be Eric Gray. Who knows? We don't know. I mean, we project that the depth chart goes Breida, Brightwell, and then Gray. But I think that all three of those are very fragile running backs. And I don't know if the opportunity, the rushing volume opportunity, like if the lead back for the Giants gets 15 carries, I will be surprised. I think it's going to be much more of a rotation, because even dating back to 2020, like Matt Breida, we see he's eclipsing 40% of snaps, twice since 2020. Yeah, that's not going to get it done. Twice since 2020. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, avoid. Go Jin, would you drop Samaje or Justice Hill for Eric Ray dart throw? No. No, I would not. Javonte doesn't look juicy, and Ravens could have a committed all year now. Yeah, I would not drop either of them for Eric Gray at this point. There's just not reason to. Like, could Eric Gray be the answers to our prayers and be a surprise? Absolutely. Eric Gray was a slow prospect, but he had a pass catching profile out of Oklahoma. Between the tackles guy, I thought he would go a little bit higher in the draft, but I thought that Eric Gray would have profiled as a great handcuff for Saquon Barkley, but it doesn't seem like he earned that role right out of the preseason, the start of the year. That's why I'm really hesitant about Eric Gray at this point. We haven't heard any buzz. There hasn't been anything. So I'm not looking to plug in Eric Gray anywhere. Keep Stafford or pick up Russell Wilson? This is a good question, but also not Thursday night. So, Adrian, we need to focus on our Thursday night start sets. That's what this tailgate is for. But because I'm because I'm a nice guy, Adrian, because I'm a nice guy, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Keep Stafford or pick up Russell Wilson. I think we're just going to continue to keep Stafford. He's healthy. He's looking good. Keep riding him. Keep riding him. There we go. Okay. So before we get into some more questions, make sure you guys are putting them in the chat because that's how we're going to answer them. In the meantime, I want to share a little bit about the injury finder that is on your phones or your tablets. You can download it. It's awesome. The Injury Finder is a great app. And so without further ado, take a look. We've got a message about the Player Profiler Injury Finder.
Now, as we at Player Profiler have become a full-blown machine learning company, the crowning achievement has to be the Injury Finder. We're now taking BMI data and injury history data and assigning a probability that a player is injured on any given touch. And not only can you see a player's fragility rating, their injury risk, we also have analysis from professional physical therapists breaking down all the major players that underwent surgery last year and what their rehabilitation looks like heading into 2023. There's a tool to compare players. There's a database where you can say, show me all the foot injuries, show me all the severe injuries, show me all the injuries requiring surgery. It provides you the key market intelligence to know what is the difference in probability that player X versus player Y will miss games this year. It's great for fantasy football, and it also just satisfies your curiosity as a fan. Go to the App Store, go to Google Play, download it. It's $5 every year just to reload the latest injury predictions and fragility ratings. The 2023 data is live now. Open your phone and get smarter.
That's right. Open your phone, get smarter, get the Injury Finder app. All right, guys, let's take a look at what else is in the comments. You have to apologize for my throat. I have been, working hard on my job outside of Player Profiler, and it's taking its toll, but that's okay. That is okay. I'm here for y'all, giving you the juicy insights. Go Jin. It feels like there's no more magic on the waivers. Oh no, Puka, Kyron, Jerome. So I'm trying to manifest Eric Gray. Look, I've taken a decent amount of Eric Gray in the summer best ball because I was, projecting him to be the handcuff. I wasn't taking a lot of Matt Breida because I don't think Matt Breida is particularly good, but I know I would be manifesting that for Eric Gray too, but we're just talking, we're giving best advice, and the best advice right now is for us to not play Eric Gray. There's not been reason for us to think that the New York Giants are going to be playing Eric Gray tonight or very much. It's a lot of projection or a lot of like nuanced thought, and I don't think that that's going to be. It's hard to discern the running back volume and how it's split up because it's so coach driven. It is fickle because you can see examples time and again where running backs who are good are not getting the opportunity to access elite ceilings. And that's due to the coaching deciding this player is not as good as maybe the fantasy football evaluators think he is. So nevertheless, is Cam Akers going to eat mini or just hold a clipboard? Is this a death blow to Ty Chandler? Yeah. Cam Akers is pretty good. I mean, look at From weeks 13 to 18, Akers led all running backs in rushing touchdowns. He was top 5 in missed tackles forced. He was top 5 in PFF rush grade. Like, he played well. His yards after contact per attempt was respectable. Like, Akers played well from weeks 13 to 18 last year in a sizable stretch. It wasn't just 1 or 2 games. It's very fantasy relevant. The issue with Akers is the question of whether or not it matters. And I don't know if it matters if Akers is going to eat, because the Minnesota Vikings are throwing the ball at a 78% clip through the first 2 games. That is the most, or that's the highest pass rate among all teams dating back to 2010, right? I just looked the past 13 years. And it's the highest by about 10% over the next closest team. So you could either argue, oh, regression is coming and Cam Akers is going to do it. And the reason why Minnesota Vikings are so pass heavy is because they know Alexander Madison's not particularly good. But if they find out Cam Akers is good, then they're going to give him the ball more than Alexander Madison. And that may be a valid line of thinking. But we know last year, even with Dalvin Cook playing, that the Minnesota Vikings did give him volume, but not as much volume as we wanted. And it hurt his ceiling. It hurt Dalvin Cook's ceiling because of the pass catching. So, yeah, if Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball, he's going to throw it to Justin Jefferson or TJ Hawkinson or Jordan Addison. He's more than likely not going to dump it off to an Alexander Madison, Cam Akers. Hey, Andrew, shout out to you. Someone offered me Akers for Gainwell in half PPR. What would you think? Give me Gainwell. We're talking about a running back who has shown that he's earned a role, a significant and sizable role on one of the best offenses in the NFL. Whereas Akers has a lot to prove, just traded. Give me Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, Shane Donahue said, go Jin, give it 2 more weeks worth of injuries, and you'll see more life on the waiver wire. We're only in week 3, and look how crazy it is. Yeah, it's wild. Who would have thought that it would be Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams being the answers for our prayers, right? But here we are. Look at us. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua. I have 40% Puka Nacua in my dynasty leagues, and my 25% of Kyron Williams back last year in my best ball drafts, that's looking pretty tough right now because I was very high on Kyron Williams, despite the fact that he had low draft capital and was very slow. And it was one of the players I was drafting in the 120s and 130s in the underdog streets back in 2022. It's crushing me. I was 1 year too late on Kyron Williams. But anyways, so y'all, this has been a lot of fun so far. We've got about 5-6 more minutes. Throw your start sits in the chat if you have a couple of them. If you're not subscribed to the Player Profiler channel, make sure you guys are crushing the subscribe button. A couple other players I want to say to not start. Do not start Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell is terrible. Of 88 qualified wide receivers, Paris Campbell is 87th out of 88 in yards per route run. You're not starting Paris Campbell. Number 1, because he's bad. And number 2 is Wan'Dale Robinson is back. And where does Paris Campbell primarily line up? In the slot. Where does Wan'Dale Robinson play? Well, he plays in the slot. So Wan'Dale Robinson, just even taking away 10% of snaps from Paris Campbell is going to hurt. Campbell is tied for the team lead in targets, and that's how bad he is. So bad. They just need to get rid of Paris Campbell. He's so bad. You can start Darius Slayton in spike week potential games. Jawan Jennings is very interesting in deeper leagues as well as a flex consideration. But of course, as I say, flex consideration, move them into your starting wide receiver spots if you know that you're going to be playing them regardless. Okay, cool. Andrew's asking, would you trust Sky Moore or Elijah Moore? We're going with Elijah Moore. We're going to trust the targets there. Shane's asking what kind of work I do outside of Player Profiler. I work at a high school. Okay. Not more. I agree with you, Shane. And Andrew drafted all three of the Moores: DJ, Elijah, and Sky Moore. That's wild stuff. The more, the merrier. Stay for the puns, guys. Stay for the puns. You can desperation start Jalen Hyatt. Not someone that I'm like going out of my way to start, but Jalen Hyatt does have the spike week potential. And we did see Puka Nakua feast last week against the San Francisco 49ers defense. And remember, this is a defense on a short week. So we do want to take a couple spike week possibilities on Jalen Hyatt, but he's not a confidently start. Like, I'm more confident in starting Darius Slayton than Jalen Hyatt. So there you go. What else? Deebo Samuel I have Deebo Samuel in my rankings. Oh, where did my rankings go? Oh, let me pull up the rankings. We've got a couple minutes left. I'll share with some of my rankings with y'all. I might make some minor adjustments as we, approach. But quarterback wise, right now, Purdy is 16. Daniel Jones is at 20. Let's see here. McCaffrey is our number one running back. We scroll all the way to Breida at 38. I might even move him lower, but if he becomes running back 23, like, what does it matter? I think I'd like to be lower on Chuba Hubbard. I think his ECR is like 35, 34. So I want to be a little lower. Elijah Mitchell, I have at 53 overall. Gary Brightwell and Eric Gray, I have at 59 and 60 right now. And then the wide receiver rankings, I have Deebo as a top 10 wide receiver. I have him at 9 this week. I might even, it might be spicy, move him up to 8, but we'll see. But you're starting Deebo Samuel this week. Well, let's not get cute. Okay. Juwan Jennings, I have at 50. I'm a little higher on Juwan Jennings. Darius Slayton, I have at 68, and Jalen Hyatt, I have at 72. With regard to Kittle and Waller, Kittle, I have at tight end 4 for the week, and Waller, I have at 5. And the San Francisco defense is my number 2 defense for the week. Is it me, or do these players bust on Thursdays? I mean, it's possible. But if there's a spike week candidate who will feast in the absence of Brandon Aiyuk, George Kittle, we've seen massive spike weeks. So we don't want to be like moving away from Kittle. Like, Ayuk's presence shouldn't be a bad thing for George Kittle. Are we starting Kittle tonight? Yes, Juicem. We are doing it. 12-team Superflex win now. Do I give up Roshan and a second for Cup and Stafford? No. Like, we don't know. We haven't heard anything about Cooper Kupp. That is a red flag. Yeah, this is a red flag. So no, I'm not targeting Kupp, and you're not paying up Roshan in a second to get a third quarterback. So I am worried about Kupp long term. The nerve damage and the crazy visits are something that would do worry me. All right. Very cool. We're winding it down. A Thursday night tailgate. This has been a lot of fun, guys. Y'all always bring the energy. Appreciate you. Make sure you guys are checking out Trade Gods and Dynasty Roundtable. One of those airs every Wednesday. And the Trade Gods, literally, you submit your trades on you submit your trades, and they'll talk about your trades live here on the Player Profiler Network. The guys do a great job with Trade Gods. And then, of course, Seth leads the Dynasty Roundtable along with the many other analysts who do an awesome job. They air on Wednesday. So make sure you guys check out the previously posted Trade Gods and look forward to Trade Gods and Dynasty Roundtable every Wednesday here on the Player Profiler Network. Y'all have been great. Make sure you tune in next week for week 4's Player Profiler Tailgate featuring myself. And we'll talk your start sits as I like to say, best of luck in the fantasy football streets, everyone. Good luck in week number 3, Thursday night picks. Appreciate y'all. Let's get it. Let's win it. Best of luck.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.